So what we're going to go over is solving two-step linear inequalities. Remember, when you solve an inequality, all the rules for solving an inequality are the same as solving an equation. The only difference is if you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, it switches the inequality symbol around. So let's look at this first example right here. A normal two-step equation, we would add or subtract first, then multiply or divide. We're going to do the exact same thing for this inequality. The opposite of adding 5 is subtracting 5. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. Bring down my 4x, cancel this out, bring down my inequality symbol, 1 minus 5, negative 4. The opposite of multiplying by 4 is dividing by 4. I'm going to divide both sides by 4. 4's cancel out here. Bring down my x. This inequality symbol does not change. You are not dividing both sides by a negative number. Doesn't matter if the top number is negative. It matters on dividing both sides by a negative number. Negative 4 divided by 4 is negative 1. To graph this, I need to draw a number line. I'm going to put this number in the middle of my number line. Numbers on this side are bigger. What's bigger than negative 1? 0. Numbers on this side are smaller than negative 1. Number I put on this side, negative 2. I look at the symbol right here. It tells me whether or not to put an open or closed circle. Open circle, it's not an answer. Closed circle, it is an answer. I put an open circle. And I need to shade everything that's bigger than negative 1. That would be everything in this direction right here. Let's look at example number 2. Example number 2. I'm going to solve and graph this. Just like a normal two-step equation, I would add or subtract first, then multiply or divide. So I need to get rid of this negative 10. The opposite of negative 10 is positive 10. I'm going to add 10 to both sides. I'm going to bring this down. That cancels out. Bring down my inequality symbol. Negative 7 plus 10, positive 3. The opposite of dividing by negative 1 is multiplying by negative 1. I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 1. This negative 1 and this negative 1 cancel out. I'm left with x. And remember, if you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, this inequality symbol switches around. 3 times negative 1, negative 3. I need to graph this. Draw a number line. This is the number I put in the middle of my number line. Negative 3. Numbers on this side are bigger. What's bigger than negative 3? Negative 2. Numbers on this side are smaller than negative 3. Smaller than negative 3? Negative 4. Open or closed circle. I'll look at this symbol. Negative 3 is an answer, so I put a closed circle. And then all my answers are less than negative 3. That means I shade in this direction right here. All my answers are negative 3 and everything less than negative 3. Example number 3. Remember, one of the other things that makes an inequality different than an equation is I need to switch this inequality symbol if I switch this entire inequality around. I'm going to take everything that's on this side and put it over here because I want the variable over here on this side. X divided by 9 minus 1. Remember, this inequality symbol is supposed to be pointing toward 2. I'm going to make it point toward the 2. I'm going to switch it around. Now I'm ready to solve this just like I would a two-step equation. I need to add or subtract first, then multiply or divide. Opposite of negative 1, positive 1 to both sides. X divided by 9 greater than or equal to 2 plus 1 is 3. I need to get rid of divided by 9, the opposite of dividing by 9, multiplying both sides by 9. The 9's cancel out. I bring down the x. No reason to switch the inequality symbol. 3 times 9, 27. Again, they're going to ask you to graph these. graph them on a number line. This number right here goes in the middle of my number line. Numbers on this side are bigger. Numbers on this side are smaller. I need to put an open or closed circle. This symbol determines whether or not I put an open or closed circle. Closed circle, because 27 is an answer. I shade all the rest of my answers, which is everything bigger than 27. That would be all the numbers in this direction right here. Example number 4. Again, this is not in the correct order. I want my variables over here on this side. I'm going to take exactly what they've got written right here, and I'm going to write it on the other side. 38 minus x. This inequality symbol should be pointing toward 38 minus x, so I need to switch it around. I'm going to put 95 over here on this side. I need to get rid of this 38. I need to add or subtract before I multiply or divide. I'm going to subtract 38 from both sides. This is a negative x. Negative x is less than or equal to 95 minus 38, 57. Again, I've done my adding subtracting. I need to multiply or divide to solve this. Right now, this x is being multiplied by a negative 1. When you can't see a number, but it does have a sign, there is a 1 sitting right in front of that x. I need to divide both sides by negative 1 to cancel out that negative sign. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1. It's going to cancel out that negative, and I'm going to be left with an x. Remember, if you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, this inequality switches around. So in this problem, this inequality switched around twice so far. 57 divided by negative 1, negative 57. They're going to ask you to graph these. You graph them on a number line. You put this number right in the middle, negative 57. Numbers on this side are bigger than negative 57. What's bigger than negative 57? Negative 56. Numbers on this side are smaller. Smaller than negative 57? Negative 58. Now I need to see if I need to put an open or closed circle on this one. Negative 57 is an answer. I put a closed circle. And all my answers are greater than negative 57 as well. That means I need to shade all the numbers going in this direction right here.